And another thing to keep in mind when using this method to cut a centered mortise is that if you're using a thin kerf blade and your mortise is very wide, you may still end up with material remaining in the middle after you make one pass, flip it, and then make the other pass. If you end up in that situation, I'll show you how to remove the material that will remain here in the middle of the mortise without losing calibration on your jig setup. So what you'll do after creating the outside passes of the mortise, you'll loosen the carriage stop and then just move the stock carriage toward the blade very carefully to remove any material that remains in the center of the mortise. And after that, you'll return the stock carriage to where it engages this carriage stop again, and then retighten this stop, and then you're ready to make your outside passes of your next piece. So I'll demonstrate that real quickly with this wider piece of stock. So the first thing I'll do is go ahead and loosen the carriage stops on either side of the jig, and then clamp this to the stock carriage and then orient it so we can create a wider mortise. So I'll set this here, move these carriage stops to the stock to make clamping a little easier. Clamp that in. Now I'm just going to pretend that I want either side of my mortise to be cut right here. So at that point, I'll go ahead and lock in both carriage stops. So lock in the one here on the right, and the one here on the left. And now I can make both outside passes of the mortise. Now I'll loosen the carriage stop here on the left, move it out of the way. And now I can move the stock carriage this direction toward the blade to remove the rest of the material that remains in the mortise. And now just bring the stock carriage back this direction until the side of the jig here engages this carriage stop, which will be back to our starting point. Then reposition the carriage stop here on the left back against the jig. And now the stock carriage is locked in its original position, ready to make the outside passes on the next piece for an identically sized mortise.